So Young's did the most amazing employee-generated content, and they very much tap into that. Like how I was talking about hospitality fondly, and I could tell that you had those same experiences. They'll tap into that. So, and TikTok is, I think, it does a lot more of kind of the industry trends versus maybe like they do customer stuff as well, but that's the content that doesn't really go onto the other channels, and like that still gets views now. It's had over 1 million.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Captive Conversations. I'm your host, Adam from Captive Wi-Fi. Join us as we dive into behind-the-scenes stories of hospitality leaders exploring tech, operations, and marketing through the eyes of the experts. Let's get the inside scoop together.
Hello, everyone. And we have Susan from Kitch Social.
Yes.
Wave, can wave hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone.
And for a virtual wave for people who can't see, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure. My brains were all over the place today, so I think this will be a really good podcast, to be honest with you, because insights from you is very different from others. So we had operator marketing before, but to have that aspect from your side is really interesting. And I've not had someone that does what you do for quite a while, because I've lots of operators, I've had lots of marketers, but not from the outside.
Yeah.
Or what people might call the dark side, but not from the outside. So it's interesting. So and we'll listen to your story as well, which is good. So and afterwards, I will give you the research that my ChatGPT researcher did for you, because it's very interesting.
I should have actually done that, because I know that you do this, and I don't know why I didn't actually just do that on the way here.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It took about 15 minutes.
Have you got like where I went to school and everything?
No, I didn't go that far. That
Too
far.
far.
CCTV footage of you coming in. No. Okay. So,
Looking confused.
Ruth from Pizza Programs was our last guest.
I love Ruth.
And she's a beast, and I love her. So she's so busy that
she is a machine.
Yeah.
And like she's a yes girl, so she will literally, if you ask her something, she's like, yeah, of course I can help. And she's just so brilliant.
Yes, she is, and I worked with her at Curb when she was at Curb as well. So and it was really interesting, to talk to her about the concept, the brand, and pizza programs, because stuff I didn't know, or some people didn't know, because the story is really interesting, and you just assume that they grew as a group and so on. So I'm really excited for that one to come out. So but yeah, she's like, I want to book it in. She booked it in, and then she's like, oh, I've got to go up to Edinburgh. Oh, I've got to do this. Like it's just
classic.
Everywhere. So but typical market. It's the same. All marketers are the same. But her questions were, which is an interesting one, because she didn't know you were coming. What is going to be the biggest social trend in 2025?
TikTok. I mean, it's been a trend for a while, but I think realistically for hospitality, not everyone's adopted it yet. Ruth was part of the State of Social report that we did with Cam, and she contributed to that, and very much was part of our advisory group on that. And we basically surveyed 62 brands, and as part of that, I think it was like 81% have a profile on TikTok. But of all our brands, only about 50% are actually got a strategy in place, and the quality of that strategy is probably, there's depth to go into that as well. But brands aren't using it, and the ad budget they're spending on Meta versus TikTok is like, TikTok is nominal versus like what the huge budgets on Meta. And like, I'm not saying stop advertising on Meta. I'm just saying there's a missed opportunity on TikTok for hospitality that other industries have already like capitalized on massively. And I'm talking retail and e-commerce, but also if you go over to like Asia, they've smashed it in the last couple of years on TikTok Shop and things like that. And I think that there's so much more to be done there for hospitality.
I think it's from when we speak to people, there's that fear factor of doing it and mass failing. And we speak to a guy called Sean Walchef. He's a Toast content creator. Yeah. We do something called Digital Hospitality on Wednesdays and Fridays. You should join, actually. I will send you the link.
It's the 6 o'clock Friday one, isn't it?
Yeah. And Wednesdays as well. And it's really good.
I didn't know it was Wednesdays too.
So when it's annoying because it's 6 p.m. our time. So
like Wednesdays probably okay, but Fridays is tricky for me. But Wednesdays, I didn't know if they did that.
I'm basically making. I work from home on Fridays. So I'm making dinner. So you see me sort of like disappear. I've put the screen on so you can't see me, but I literally disappear. I'm doing the roast potatoes on the side.
A roast on a Friday.
Yeah.
You're outrageous. I love it.
It just has to be done. I make the crazy roast potatoes. So, it's really interesting. And he's like, he started by just going on Insta and TikTok and going into his pitmaster and just filming her for 6 hours. Got a power bank and just literally, and he had 350,000 people watching him live across the world, asking questions, and it was amazing. He goes, it was just unbelievable, and that was just the start of the journey. You don't need to have it beautifully created and curated, you know.
And I think this is the fear factor, is that people think it needs to be so curated and they're nervous about letting go. And you have to let go. For it to work, you really have to let go.
But we're British, and the cringe factor of getting in front of the camera is like...
But you know, it's probably not even the marketers, it's ops, it's the boards, it's the other people, and like the brands that are clinging on to X, like they're
There's
clinging
brands
on.
that cling on to X still?
There's a handful. Do you know why? Because there's old school people at the board saying that they need to carry on. But I think we've got, all our clients, there's one left, and that's because of a board situation. But they've got to find ways to prove its value to those people, and that is looking at the audience. So again, when we look at, say, social data, Instagram on average across all industries is, I think it's about 38% under 24, but in the brands that we surveyed, only 9% of Instagram followers are under 24. Wow. So when you then go at TikTok, where I think it's like 80% under 34, So
80%?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, yes, and then you get the argument, well, it's just Gen Z, and it's like, well, no, it's not just about Gen Z, it's just about your future, and it's those customers that are coming through. If you aren't speaking to them in a place where they are, you're not going to capture them. And like, people are looking on social, like social SEO is so important. So if people go to new towns, they're going on TikTok, they're not going on Google, they're going to TikTok and going, where shall I eat in Manchester, where shall I eat in London, whatever. So that is the trend.
We'll talk more about it, but I'll tell you an interesting story about TikTok. Not about that, but okay. Because otherwise, that question we could go on for about half an hour.
I could talk only
but
about
we can talk more. Okay, so next question was, what is your biggest pet peeve that hospitality brands repeatedly do? You don't have to mention the brand, obviously. Or you can.
It's community management and lack of, and they neglect it.
Yeah.
And it comes from a resource situation, which is 100% one of the biggest challenges at the moment. But people are focused on their content. They're focused on adopting TikTok, which is really important. I'm not discounting that, but they are not focused on actually the engagement. And content strategy will create incredible engagement if it's really great. But are you doing the bit afterwards? Are you responding to them? Are you actually going to your community and speaking to them on other people's posts? Are you like, the best way to engage influencers that you want to come in is to go and talk on their posts, because their audience will see you talking on their posts and they'll go, well, who's this brand? I'll go see. And there's these huge opportunities, and there's that whole slide into the DMs, but brands can do that. And there's so much potential. So for like Young's Pubs, we work with them really closely, and we look after all the community management on their central. And we have like the power to give away free pints and DMs. I'm going to get told off now because literally everyone's going to DM them being like, oh, free pint. But it's those moments, and it's all about those emotional connections, right? Like, for an industry that thrives out of hours, people are not managing their socials in the evenings and weekends. And that was something that came up in State of Social report, was basically that not enough people are monitoring those accounts, whereas we do that 24/7. We do sleep. It's on a rota system. But at 9 to 9, 7 days a week, we are responding to people. So if someone comes into your pub or your restaurant or your venue at the weekend and they have a crap experience, we can turn that around. And I think that whole super fandom concept, and I know Cam speaks about it a lot, but that super fandom you can get from turning really negative experiences around and making it really positive, because actually how you deal with something that's gone wrong, because stuff goes wrong, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Like, all the time.
Yeah.
So how you deal with it is really important. And actually, if you don't have that same customer service experience that everyone's focused on the floor, and for GMs and everyone like that, like, we want to work hand in hand with them, and we want to create that same experience online in a digital community. And I don't think brands do it. No,
I think you the last word that you said was community, and I think that's a massive piece, building that community out. I'm posting content everywhere, and I should be messaging on other people's brands. So you're absolutely right. But even for me, we post content everywhere. I'm Adam the Wi-Fi guy on TikTok, right? But I think the only post that got anything was like me screaming into the camera saying, "You need this." Yeah. But I haven't got time, for me, because I'm doing loads of different things. But for restaurants specifically, you have everyone, all the restaurants have a WhatsApp in their front, on their literally on their by the reservations. There is a phone. There's their WhatsApp emergency phone.
Yeah.
You could just have that with the TikTok on it to have an idea of what's happening or any comments.
Yeah.
And then comment. Do you know what I mean? And I agree with you. I think building communities is really difficult. And I think obviously more people need to do it. But we can talk about that in a bit. So so basically what we're saying is that brands that post but just don't follow through.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like you can post something
Video
really
looks great,
exciting, but then you've nurtured all this engagement underneath.
Yeah.
Like it could be a simple.
It's all about the chat, though, isn't it? It's not about the post necessarily. You could post anything, and as you spark a conversation, that could be a flow of hundreds of comments.
And actually, what you want is people to have a discussion underneath, banter. Like I've had pun offs with people, and like we worked with Smith and Smithfield, and it was literally like me having a fish pun off, and it was going on for ages. Like I was in the office, like googling desperately, trying to find all these puns. And eventually they're like, guys, I need to meet this person, come out. And I was like, sorry, I'm at the fish market. Like, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't, but it's totally doable, but you've got to be immersed in that brand and you've got to be your brand's voice. And actually social is that kind of, it's the informal bit to your website, right? It's the like window to your brand online that isn't on Google, but it is not your website. And it's that bridge between those two for me. And it informs everything. Like it informs AIO, it informs SEO, like it informs all of those things. And if you're not actually spending time talking to people, you're really missing a massive opportunity. And that's where people discover brands. Like 18% of people are using social to discover new hospitality brands. If you get someone to follow your brand, there is already an emotional connection. And if they're following you, that content strategy that you're putting all that hard work into has someone to speak to. So there's a huge opportunity, and I don't think it underpins everything we do basically.
Okay, go standard questions. The normal standard questions is best hospitality experience.
I've just come off the back of something so phenomenal. It was amazing. So Prept are our charity partner, and for anyone who doesn't know them, they're amazing. They basically work with schools, and they're focused on food education for happier, healthier lives, but also they're looking to they've just launched into secondary schools, and they're fostering basically careers in hospitality as well. So amazing, really cool charity. I would recommend anyone to go and check them out. Jess, Dan and Tom and the team are brilliant. And they do this showcase series. They did it last week, 7 nights. Every night is like Michelin star chefs, incredible. And we had an invite Friday night, and I nearly didn't go, and I'm so pleased I did. Oh my gosh. I thought it was a 6-course tasting meal. I arrived and it was a 9-course tasting meal.
Wow.
With bar snacks before and petit fours afterwards. But it was Tom Shepherd, Sean Delport and Theo Clench, and it was phenomenal. And so each chef did 3 dishes. They talked you through it. So you've got the South African influences for Jean, and Tom's dishes. Oh my God, the scallop was incredible. So, but what was special about it was you could just see how much they cared, and the attention. And I think I heard Tom talk about on a podcast actually, taste, texture, and temperature.
I like that.
And it was a 3 T's, and I could literally feel that when you're eating it and all the different flavors. And so kudos. And
where was the?
It was hosted at Restaurant Interlude, which is in Sussex, just over from South Lodge actually. But beautiful, really, really, and super special. And obviously that's a really one-off experience. Ridgeview Wine sponsored it, so it was lovely as well.
And it was a charity.
So they sell tickets, and we were there as a partner. So and they have a big auction and everything. So
awesome.
Yeah, really special. But I mean, they do it every year, and it's ticketed events so that people can buy tickets and things. So really special, yeah.
Amazing. Best hospitality tech.
I have 2 for this. Am I allowed 2?
Yes, of course.
One is hospitality, but actually I think it's going to be so much bigger. And I know they've been on, is Candid.
Yeah.
What Sam and Nick have created, I think is pretty special. I think it solves, it is a solution to a problem that isn't just hospitality. Let's face it, that unconscious bias is so relevant at the moment. And so, I think it'd be very interesting to see where that goes in the next decade, because
I can't wait to see the results.
I can't see who they go to next. Yeah. That's the bit that I'm hospitality.
I think the comment I love from Sam, and he says it the whole time, is the wall of noise. Yeah. Which is sort of what you want your brands to be doing as well. And it's all about the wall of noise, and I don't think any brand's doing it enough. And they are just it's so interesting with him saying that, because then I look at and it is literally a wall of noise,
Yeah.
like continuous, and so it's never ending. So I think it's super interesting. I'm really interested to see once they've got more data in to see where it all is, as in what happened, how it go, and that sort of stuff. Because obviously it's early doors, but it's super interested to see.
And like, give it a couple of years, and you're going to find out, like, all the people now that we've seen grow in their roles. We're going to see who grows in their roles, where they were placed through Candid, and I think that would be really exciting to see where these kind of placements get put. But yeah, they're smashing it. We're doing Sam's School of Sales and Marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's mental, but brilliant. And I think it's a real, I mean, Sam as an individual and what he does, I credit to him, because the people on that course are all people that I think are very established, but we've all gone, yeah, let's do this as a kind of a refocus on essentially what we all need to be doing regularly.
Yes, you can always learn.
Yeah. And I think especially, like, so Kitch we're only 8 people. So Natalie's our founder, I'm CMO there, but you can become so insular in what you're doing, and if you don't spend time looking out and looking, so obviously it's very hospitality focused, but looking at kind of like tip jar on there, like feedback and other people, and if you don't spend time looking at what other people are doing, you don't learn enough, and you can become too insular. And I think that applies to anything we do. So
Everything.
whether it's marketing as a whole, social, digital, or like mailers or whatever. And yeah, so I think that learning loop is really important.
Yeah, he's got some awesome nuggets as well. I mean, just when they were in, Nick.
You didn't get to stop talking, did you?
No, yeah. Well, I had Nick, so Nick was quite good, to be fair. But once Nick had finished, he was the machine and started.
Yeah.
So he is a machine, and I mean, literally, when they were at the show last year, I think Hospitality Tech last year, he was talking to Chris.
Yeah.
And I grabbed him and was like, "Oh, I've got my camera," and I literally stuck him in front of the GoPro, and I went, "Go," and he was like. And at the end, he was like, "Oh, I can't believe I came out with that." And he came out with this most amazing snippet that was just off the cuff.
He should have been on Blue Peter.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And Nick is a dark horse as well. Like, let's just give Nick some credit, because he's a dark horse. And I think what they're going to do is phenomenal.
Well, to be fair, I love the connection between them.
Yeah.
It really works. So, okay, what's your number 2?
I've just come across them. Okay. I don't know if you know them. Grow Dash. Have you seen them? So,
Grow Dash?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw them speak. So we're doing an event with Y Food. And so Nadia put me onto them, and Sean is the founder, and he's speaking at an event that we're doing next week about AI and marketing. And essentially, I'm going to probably say it wrong, but what I've seen, and people should investigate, is to do with delivery and using data to inform your growth marketing. So it's basically how you inform the marketing for delivery, so supply and demand effectively, and how that works with AI and data. Super interesting. I've had about a 20-minute contact with the brand in terms of listening to him talk about it, and it sounds phenomenal. But I'm really interested to see. They're currently more in like Dubai area, and I think they're launching the UK. Either they have just, or they're launching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm meeting him next week actually, and I'm really excited to find out what that looks like.
It's really interesting, Dubai. They are so quick on activation.
Yeah.
From what we see, what we do on the captive stuff. It will be a conversation for, weirdly enough, and in America as well. When the Americans get it, because lots of the people we speak to are like, "We're not coffee shops," and I'm like, "Okay, let's have another conversation." But the conversation I have over there was telling about the product, and they were like, "Adam, stop talking." I was like, "Not many people tell me to stop talking." They're like, "Stop talking. I've signed up already. Let's go." Dubai, they're just like, "Yeah, can we just do the whole group? How long? Can we do it tomorrow? Let's get going." Like, and that's why Amber was over there. Because the adoption is so fast. Yeah. They just want to be, so I can imagine why they're...
because they've got the budgets though, and it's just like,
well,
they have to be less careful, so they've just got more disposable income.
I don't know. It's interesting. I spoke to some installers like hardware and tech, and they're like, "Oh, we've just installed a brand new restaurant, and we've installed all the AV, and we might get paid in 7 months." And you can't do anything about it. Yeah. It's just the way it is. So I think, I don't know, that's probably maybe the investment piece. But what we see on our side, on like as doing what we do, they just go. I think the decision for the marketing piece isn't led on a board or an operations, or it's like the marketing team are given go. Yeah. And they go. Like, so we work with a consultancy over there that just opened up a new site. And 6 months ago, they were in touch going, "We haven't got power yet, but we're ready to go." There was no back and forth, no, oh, I'm not sure. So
Yeah.
I speak to some people in Australia and the US and in Europe, and they go, I wish people in the UK would just be upfront. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, here they go, yeah, I'd love to, like you get a client, you have a chat with the client, you do a proposal, typical marketer or typical operations, and they'll be like, yeah, I love this, it's awesome. Okay, what are we doing next steps? You'll send us a proposal, and then all of a sudden, nothing. It's just
Then you have to do another proposal when they do finally get in touch.
right, and then it's like 6 months, or I'll come back to you. And the age-old thing, what Vic Searle said, which I keep saying as well, is that marketers are too busy putting that out of order sign on the toilet because ops have said, and messaging to do everything else. But over there and in the US, and to be fair, anywhere outside of the UK, is this is great. How do we get going? Let's move.
Yeah.
And here it's just there's barriers to entry here.
But I also think, and it's like I deal with this personally because I have to let go, but I think we have to let go of control. And I think at the moment, like this idea that everything you'll be held accountable for, therefore people hold on to stuff too long, when actually once you let go of control, and you have to let go to make stuff thrive. And it's really important.
You have to sit in the uncomfortable. I think that's a good comment.
Oh, 100%. Like growth comes when you're in discomfort. And it's a real thing you have to learn. And I think it's quite controversial, but I'd say people have stopped doing that since COVID. Like we've not learnt to feel uncomfortable. And I think I kind of get my kicks off being really out my depth, and then I come back buzzing, and it's a massive and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like it drives me. But I think unless you're uncomfortable, me and Natalie know that if we procrastinate on something, it means it's not right, because something in our head is telling us not. But it's actually we're learning to go, well, why are we procrastinating? We've got to stop. But also
that's hard.
But it's like it's either are we uncomfortable and we just need to get on with it because we're being uncomfortable, but it's the right thing to do, or are we procrastinating because it's the wrong thing to do? And actually it's normally one of those two things. So once you figure out the two, and like perfectionism, like stop trying to perfect everything and just get it done, because actually 80% done is better than not at all. So I think what you're coming to, like with Dubai and kind of over there, is they're just getting it done. And it's probably not as perfect as maybe we might launch with, but if you don't, launch is better than not in a lot of cases, which I know it might be controversial with some brands. It depends on the brand, I'm sure, but realistically, if you've got the right people in place, you just got to go for it. And I believe that with like TikTok, and people are so scared of it, but if they just start posting, they'll start realizing that actually it's just about dubbing. And I think everyone thinks everyone's looking at everything. No one's, and if they're looking, it's because they're actually really like envious of your brand.
I'm gonna. There's more to come. I promise you, there's more to come. So I will. I promise I'm going to talk about more about this, but because it can go on forever. Okay, so we're going to go back in time.
Okay.
So we're going to do where it all started, where it all began. So take me back to the beginnings. Did you work in hospital when you were younger? Did you
Absolutely.
Where did it start?
So my mum, both my parents are Dutch, and I don't know if you know, but hotel school is huge in Europe. And so like it's really, I say well respected in terms of, I think it's quite different to the UK. But mum was hotel school. My parents are growers, and so very much family business. And I have two brothers, and I was like, I'm not doing family business. So I'd been making boxes for about 3 years for lettuces. And then when I turned 16, I was like, I'm getting a job in a bar. And actually, at that point, I decided I wanted to be a chef. So I walked into a restaurant in town, said I want a job, and they were like, got a pot wash, KP job, and I was like, yeah, I'll have it. So I did KPing and loved it, because I just loved the environment, hospitality. I'm a night owl, so I just love that buzz. And my favourite bit is probably the bit where everyone's sitting around at the end of the night is always the favourite bit. And when you're in the kitchen, it's always sitting on the countertops, and actually everyone's still drinking outside in the restaurant. I love that. And ended up like working on starters and desserts and kind of com chef and that kind of stuff. And then actually was like, yeah, I don't want to be a chef anymore because it's really hard. So much respect for those guys. So
where did you get to? Did you end up just like
I was like 18. I was like, yeah, I'm into drinking now. Can I go front of house? So then I went front of house and spent a couple of summers out there, and then went to uni. But while I was at uni, would come back in the same restaurant. So I worked there, and like my best friend met her husband there, and I met Natalie there. So she worked at Pizza Express across the road.
Yeah.
her boyfriend at the time worked behind the bar where I worked, so she used to come in a lot after her shift, and they'd all come in hungover for brunch. I'd serve brunch. I was like, finish at 1 a.m, back in at 8 a.m. type person because we full service. It was, I loved it. And
Where did you work? Where was it? What was that?
It's called Trent's. It's in Chichester, so I've grew up in Chichester, still there now. For anyone who's been to Trent's recently, it's not what it used to be. It used to be the place. No shade on the group that owns it now, but it's not what it used to be.
Oh, so it used to be independent and then got bought.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I quite like that group. Other places, but in Chichester, it's like people miss what it used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've really got a place that is the same. Like I can still walk around Chichester. Chichester's a small place, and I went to school there. But crossover, went to school with there and working at Trent's for like 5 or 6 years. I will still see regulars from that, and people would be like, "Right, Suze," like my regulars bought my first house, and I was like, "Why is my solicitor so friendly?" And then I clocked that Nicholas was actually Nick that I used to serve brunch to every week. So like, it's that type of like, I knew the regulars and the community that it builds. And I was talking about this on another podcast recently, which was my favourite thing, which I still have today, and what I do today is figuring out what makes every guest tick. And like, some guests want you to like give them loads of attention, some just want the food and they want to be left alone. And I think that's my favorite bit about hospitality is it's not the same customer experience for everyone, and you've got to figure out what that is. And learning someone's coffee order, like the 8 a.m. Saturday crowd were always the same crowd for the first hour, and then the rest was dependent on where we were in payday month and all that kind of stuff.
I think I keep saying this in the pod. It's really interesting. For people who haven't worked, so my nephew, for example, works at Sky News, doing amazing, and he got an apprenticeship there, and but he worked at a pub for like a couple of years before he started, and just having that piece of interacting with different people, all different kinds of people, adjusts your expectation. I used to do events. I used to be on the door and running around behind the bar and stuff. So you get to gauge what people are like. You understand people. I think I wish more people had the opportunity to do this. And it's nice that you were saying about the charity, and also it's nice that I didn't even know there was hospitality apprenticeships. I found that out the other day, which is awesome. So
they're investing more as well. I was at least intended event for CAM. They were saying there's been more announcements made about that, which is really cool.
I think it's super important. So,
but we find at Kitch, there's two things we find is that people who've worked in hospitality, their customer service is better. Like even now, like an office role where they're like dealing with emails, their customer service is better for clients. And secondly, if we're running an event or we're doing something and it's just a bit of all hands on deck, people who've worked in hospitality don't care if they've got to do some washing up. Like I'll happily still do washing up. Like I quite like the idea of working in a bar, and until years ago I still did a lot of catering stuff because I enjoyed it. And I was talking to some lovely guys from Gusbourne actually, and they said the same. Like they still love that buzz of talking to people and serving the wines and the whole experience. So I think that I 100% agree that comes through.
Yeah, I think the challenge for me is when I'm going to those sort of events, like HRC's coming up. And I called my best mate and I texted him a text message saying, I need help. Because what do you mean? I said, well, last year I was meant to speak to like 15, 20 different people, and I only really spoke to about 4 because I just sort of like saw people I knew, ended up just having banter with them for about an hour, and then all of a sudden the timing, he goes, yeah, don't worry, I'll help you. We'll build a schedule. You know, I'll be behind the camera for you rather than me pulling out my GoPro.
Have you seen Devil Wears Prada?
Yes.
You know when she's in the back, like move on. Yeah. I imagine him being like that with you.
100%. I literally, he'll be whacking me rather than the earpiece. But I've sent him a message saying help. He goes. I'm there. He goes, I'm done. Don't worry. I'll tell you when to shut up. And so on. So that'll be nice this time.
That's a good best mate.
So I don't mind. He can say what he likes because I've known him since he was like 5. So okay. So then,
quick favour here. I'm just taking a quick break on the podcast just to say I would really appreciate if you can click the like or subscribe button. That helps us grow. We're very new, and I would really appreciate it. And on with the show.
from there to...
So then did uni, and then after uni I went to London, and I worked in events. So I was in conferencing, which was a lot of fun. So
Was conferencing in hotels or in?
it was the hotel. We were generally in hotels as in hosting, but it was like pharma and different industries. Like I was known as the Berlin girl. Like I wanted different cities, and I just kept getting Berlin.
Yeah.
So we'd be out one week out of every month. I'd be in Europe hosting, which was fun. And I mean, in terms of when you look at hospitality now, like the personalization, that side of stuff, hotels have done so well, and I saw a lot of that. And I got an amazing gig because my manager at the time actually went on mat leave, and so she was always the venue booker, and then I became the venue booker, which in your 20s, when you're getting hosted and wined and dined and literally upgraded left, right and centre, was the dream. So I did that as well for a few years of like actual just doing all the bookings for all the events, as well as actually doing the logistics and hosting. So
Quite a lot. For how old?
I was there from probably 23. When was the Olympics? 2012. So yeah, that's my first summer in London was the Olympics, which was the best. I just had so much fun because I was a driver in the Paralympics, which was fun.
You?
Yeah, really
awesome.
cool. And like I had the best time. Like I think it's one of those luck of the draw things. And I've where I speak Dutch, I got like head of the Dutch Paralympic Committee, who was just such a dude, and he was literally just taking me everywhere with him and got me tickets to the closing ceremony, and like we'll still message now occasionally, and he's lovely. But yeah, so I just had the best time, like just venues and like Sushi Samba opened, and you got invites for that exclusive, and you know that's. Now it would be hard to say yes to that, but I was just a yes person at that point in terms of anything, any day of the week. It was like, yeah. And actually you'd end up partying more in the week, which I just love. Whereas now I think London feels very quiet.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
So I'm quite pleased I did that when I did. It was really fun.
So then the conference and events, and then on to...
So then went back to Chichester. So I moved back, I think it was about 4 years. Did London and then moved back and called Natalie because I knew her. And at the time, there was no kind of work from home situation. So London was too far to commute at the time. And so very much was like, where can I work that's still fun? And Kitch was offering that. She didn't have any roles at the time, and then was kind of looking at a few things, and then she came back and turns out she was about to have kids. So she needed someone to help out with kind of supporting the agency while she was having kids and helping her. So did that, and then rest is history. So 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I say 10 years, but I -2 from COVID.
Yeah.
It was bonkers. But
so what was your first role when you started?
At Kitch, digital manager maybe.
Yeah.
Digital manager, and then went on to marketing director was the one before this, and there was probably one in between. Senior marketing digital manager or something like that. Yeah.
And so you actually saw the whole company grow, as I guess.
Yeah.
How many people were there when you started?
So there was Natalie and another Natalie at the time.
Yeah.
But the other Natalie was also just leaving. So then there was 3 of us, and then Nat was kind of not on mat leave because she's a founder, and that doesn't happen. Let's be honest. So then it was kind of 3 of us essentially when I started, and we're now at 8.
Nice.
And I think there's a lot of growth coming. So we're really excited. But we rebranded last spring. A year ago now, and it's just been really
I like the
cool.
rebrand, to be fair.
Oh
It
man,
is
like
cool. It is cool.
it is really cool. Credit to the food brand guys actually, because I don't know if you've seen them. They're designers. They're great.
What are they called?
The food brand guys.
Food brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're really cool, and they nailed it. And actually, we went back. It's that classic thing of the client doesn't know what they even want, and we went back and we're like,
was it just the messaging of like going through the whole conversation?
Yeah, like they did a brilliant job, and we went back and was like, oh no, let's change that, change this, and then essentially ended up with the first thing they sent us.
Love that.
Which credit. So really nailed it, and it's really cool to see that come to life. And that's. I've been at Kitch a long time, but I think the last 2 years have been the funnest and the most.
Do you think it was a flick since the switch of the brand change? Do you think it made a big difference?
Yeah, and I think it's also we're at that point of growth where Natalie and I.
This is growing up, really, isn't it? It's
yeah,
the growing up.
We're in our teenagers.
Yeah.
We literally say that because it's 13 years old now, the agency. So we are able to kind of go out and do things like this, which when you are managing all the clients day to day, you can't. And I think the world is quite different in terms of it's a lot more collaborative online. People don't find that so scary since COVID. So that is a silver lining of COVID.
I think the collaboration piece is really nice, actually. I think having it is definitely a shift change. Looking at even the marketing group, right?
Yeah.
On what everyone's
Shout
now,
out to Vic and now Glenda, but
Yes.
like congrats like Vic, because that is a beast.
and also, but people are open to share now. That before they never did. It was very much close, to your chest.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice to see that. Oh, I want to do this, or have you seen this, or this has happened here.
Yeah.
And the floods of people coming back. So I think generally, but also there's more events now as well.
And realistically, it's probably because everyone learned how much benefit you can have from COVID, because people did open up then. And it was really scary, but also you learnt to pivot. And there was some ridiculous moments of COVID. There was a point when me and Natalie were FaceTiming, 10 minutes apart from our houses. I had my dog on FaceTime to entertain her child while she was homeschooling her. And you're just like, what are we doing? It is bonkers. But we were also winning business that we weren't expecting. And one of our best years was COVID, which is we looked at it kind of we were doing account stuff the other day and kind of looking back at it and we're like, I don't think we really gave ourselves a pat on the back for that, because it's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of people pivoted, adjusted, and changed. I think it gave way for a push. Yeah. I think I heard, I don't know who I had the other day that said the doesn't want COVID back. Yeah. But what happened? He wanted what happened in the push of change, because everyone was made to change and pivot to come back, because it's sort of slowed down a bit now. As you spoke earlier, it's sort of gone back down to its thingy where you don't have sit in the comfortable rather than the uncomfortable. Yeah. And he was saying, I wish it was there now, where people are they have to pivot to make things better. Yeah. So it's interesting. Okay, so we're going to go on to current marketing challenges. So what are the biggest challenges in hospitality businesses face today? How do you think those brands can overcome the hurdles in such a fast-paced digital landscape?
I don't think this is unexpected, but I think it's resource. This was the main feedback we had in State of Social, is resource. And that is time, money, that is headcount, it is expertise and knowledge. It's not just one thing which there is a solution to. And I think all the government stuff for operators is quite scary at the moment in terms of recruitment and national insurance stuff and all that jazz. I'm not great on the terminology, but I know the impact it's having, and we are seeing the impact of that with people converting. That back and forth is probably a bit longer at the moment because budgets are just being qualified that much more. And hand in hand with that lack of resource goes kind of that ability to report on social and the data that people want out and proof of success. I think proving ROI and internal buy-in is really hard. And social is a funny one because it's a beast. And yes, paid, you can very much put data into and you can get really quality data out in terms of what ROI is being driven, but organic is hard. And it's finding those moments. And I think that reporting to a board or to the people signing off those budgets is a marketing exercise in its own. Yeah. Marketers are marketing internally as well as externally. I think the other challenge as well that we've seen, and I have a client of ours that he called me and he said, the owner called me and they've got 5-6 huge venues. Yeah. I've just spent 10 grand on something called Meta. And he told me, it's an external guy. We found the guy, came in, sort of CMO sort of style. They never really had real marketing. Yeah. They had someone doing socials and TikTok and stuff like that, but no one really doing any other stuff. And he goes, I just spent £10,000 and it's showing me this report that looks amazing. The report shows me all these amazing new revenue I'm earning. But I just checked the bookings from last year versus this year. And I was like, well, bearing in mind, you've got to be careful with the bookings. I said, look, he goes, but they're lower. So is he making me money? I was like, where did you find him from, number one? Why didn't you call me? I'll happily give you some advice on other people I know with pleasure. And two, don't pay any more. Yeah. Get some really clear, or get someone that can overlook at what you're doing, because that's the other challenge as well. He was like, I'm being bamboozled with reports that look amazing. But I look at and I guess sometimes it's a bit difficult. They may have done some good work bringing the bookings up to near last year or whatever it might be. But he was like, he goes, I think I've just been ripped off. Because, it's so difficult, tricky.
Right? And also tracking, right? Another piece that's really difficult to do on that that's out there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of factors there. Firstly, who is this person? A simple
Doesn't
question.
exist anymore.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's the first one.
Yeah.
Secondly, did they go straight in with that 10K? Because my biggest advice is always test, and do that with a small budget. And then once you've nailed it, let's amplify. Because actually, it's different for every brand, firstly, different for every campaign. You've got to be really strategic and yes, have you got your tracking in place? Is TikTok there? A TikTok pixel, is Meta pixel there? Like how can you actually dictate that those conversions are coming from those ad campaigns and that channel as a whole? So yeah, without seeing the data closely, it's really hard to say more on that. But I think realistically, you have to have all that tracking in place, and paid is the easiest place to actually show ROI. Like versus something like a kind of emotive organic campaign, where actually then you've got to, and when I talk about marketing to boards and stuff, you've got to showcase those moments of connection and those emotional connections where
you guys can show the community outreach as well above that. So it's not just, I guess that's a different piece as well.
Yeah, but they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And like,
you can't do one without the other, isn't it?
Well, but you also shouldn't do the paid until you've got your organic in place. You shouldn't start doing all these extra jazzy things until you've got those foundations in place. And I think, again, this is another common issue across everything, but people try and run before they can walk. And it's like, I'll get two brands talking to me at an event and they are in very different places. And I'm like saying to one, like, just get your posting great. Like, just start posting 4 times a week regularly, like, or find your sweet spot for posting, because it might not be 4 times a week for you, but also if you can only with your resource, and we go back to that issue and that challenge, if your resource is posting 3 times a week, that is better than you posting 7 times one week and then leaving it for 2 weeks because you've run out of capacity to do any more. And yeah, so I think it's trying to do it all hand in hand and make it all work harmoniously and do that well. But yeah, the paid stuff should have a really clear kind of customer journey, and also look at your tech stack. Like, is everything actually showing conversions properly? Because some things don't show conversions well. Like, we've got clients where the Meta pixel might be in place, but actually it doesn't convert. Like, Design by Night doesn't show conversions very well. The tie-up is just not there. So you have to test all of those things, and it might be...
I speak to so many different marketers who are all like, I've got a developer, we've nearly done. Like, oh, we've got this, and we're like tracking this now, but this is, it's so tricky.
There's always a sticking point.
Yeah.
And like, I swear Natalie could launch, we always joke about this, I hate doing it, but Natalie's an absolute queen at this. She'll go into Business Manager and like pages get like, people get locked out pages, people leave from businesses. She is like a machine at getting those unlocked. Like, I swear it's like our biggest lead gen strategy. But she, like, Meta is like a machine, and it has so much control, and you can say Facebook's dead, but it's 100% not.
Yeah.
Like, it drives insane amount of bookings, and if you're working strategically with people like Airship and Toggle, like Wi-Fi providers, like, you can do so much with that data, and it's that performance loop of how well is that campaign thought out? What is the value exchange? What is the data going into the campaign? What are you measuring? What is your ROI? Have you actually discussed that with the client? Does the client want to see the entire report, or do they just need to see some key stats and like leave the rest to you? And it's different for every client we work with, and I think it has to be bespoke to each campaign as well.
So basically, what you're saying is that, and I agree with you, because like the reason why I think that one, they let go, right? So as we're talking about Dubai, for example, and other territories, they have the opportunity to run with it. I think that's one piece. I think the other piece, you're right. I literally had an email from a client saying, we don't have the resource to manage this.
Yeah.
Let's just talk again in a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I emailed back to say to them that we've converted 13,000 loyalty conversions from the Wi-Fi in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's great, but we still don't have a way to manage it.
Yeah.
I was like, crazy.
People are sitting on so much data.
Well, this guy, the brand I talked about with the thingy, before we got him involved into to an agency or to a marketer, he had 1.2 million email addresses and 500,000 phone numbers. Yeah. With no birthday reminder. Yeah. With no automations, and maybe an email every 3 months.
Send them to Mr. James Robertson.
Yes. Literally. So I think, there's people are sitting on loads of data. and it's crazy. You just look at the automations that aren't there, the basic automations.
But that's what James Moss was saying at RMI, right? It doesn't even have to be pretty.
No.
And
Even the plain text emails, he said. Yeah.
Like they drive additional revenue. And I think we go into all of those things and it's just overwhelming resource, but also like someone who's got a really creative mind will be amazing at content creation, but they might not be the best at doing ads. And like we have specialities within all our team because we kind of can see that people excel in different areas. But if you expect someone who does the most incredible UGC content and can be really like talk on camera, they're probably not the best at reading ads, and they're probably not the best at being strategic with data. So you've also, and I think that's where an agency can offer a lot, and working with a team of people, is that you've got a bit of different people working with you and you can work to their strengths. Whereas you've got a marketing manager who's drowning already. They've not just got social to consider, they've got everything else.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot. And also, as you said, that I get the resource isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
And then the stuff that's on the plate. I saw when Ruth came in, I was like, you are a busy lady. I mean, she's busy. And I said to her, and we were talking to her about some other clients where the list is never ending.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't end. It's continuous. So I think the challenge is that I'm glad there are more people out there now to help with different pieces. Because in the past it was difficult. You go to a giant agency and you'd pay all this money and you wouldn't really know what's going on. So I think there's more little things out there that can be where people can work together. Because before it's all mine. That's my client. I think now it is more shareable. But okay, so let's talk about the social media strategies.
Yes.
Because we talked about it earlier. Actually, the barrier to entry isn't that hard, but there's the nervousness of starting, and it doesn't have to be wonderful like you've just said. It can just be anything. And also the EUGC, which is the employee UGC, which I think is awesome. Like, I mean, just look at Curry's PC. I mean, it is just
Hobbycraft, also great.
I have a look at Hobbycraft.
Brilliant.
I just think bringing the employees into it and just showing some fun out of it is just puts a smile on your face.
Also, those are the people that your customers are seeing in venue.
Yes.
So those are the faces that they're going to be absolutely brilliant, and they're going to share it for you, and they're going to be talking to people local to your venues. But yeah, like let go and trust them. Like if you are nurturing this incredible talent.
So okay, let's start from the beginning, right? So restaurant, let's give a bit of a guide, right? So and this would be a good snippet for you as well, right? So you can have that, you can pass it around. You're a restaurant. You have done a bit of Insta, great. You've done a bit of meta advertising, great. You're teeing in, and you're like, right, I can do some content. I don't mind. The chef's a bit of a laugh. Like my local Italian is literally, when I go in there get takeaway, I've known him for years now. Because it's like that one restaurant where chef owned operator, really cool, in my local town. And I walk in and I get my takeaway. Oh, it's a shit biscuit. It's screaming in the kitchen. His wife's staring at him, going, "Shut up!" like that. And he's like, "Oh, Adam, you screwed me over." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, "Do you want to get a camera out and just start filming him?" Because he's like all over the kitchen, having a laugh. And his TikToks is like, and his TikToks are a bit forced. He's like, "This is my lasagna done," like that. And I'm like, "Dude, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to see you do it and shout at people."
Yeah.
So, but like, talk to me. Right. So, TikTok strategy.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch. Just having an account. What would you recommend just to start out with?
First off, people think that it's 3 or 4 posts per day. You don't have to do that. Like, just start at 3 a week or something. And it's much more achievable. And just practice and be silly and be prepared to let go a bit. I think there's this whole trend jacking trend, which it basically refers to doing every single trend available, but I don't think that's right. I think you have to choose ones that are right for your brand, and if you feel comfortable, because if you don't feel comfortable, it's going to come across, but you do need to tap into trends, and it won't be the same content as your other platforms. It's going to feel uncomfortable, because uncomfortable being like is where that growth is and where you'll find people. And you will do stuff and it will fall flat on its face. Like stuff we do for clients will sometimes not perform because you have to test and play around to figure out where your niche is. I mean, look at Roses. Roses are a great example of, they've discovered their founder is this, like, just everyone wants to see the founder and everyone wants to see the founder cooking, and so that's their now niche, is that's where they get their engagement on TikTok. And And then you've got like M&S doing the ridiculous dances, and that works for them. So do they post all that content on other platforms? Probably not. Some of it has now making that way over there, and you know when you're seeing something on Instagram that it was trending a month ago on TikTok. So like being mindful of that. But I think
don't cross post. Don't use your scheduler just to go here, and here, right? Because it won't work. It won't work, right?
no, and like you create this amazing content on TikTok, and you might have one every 5 posts might actually work on Instagram because it's so relevant to your audience and it speaks to your audience. But yeah, you can't. It's not all the same.
I think the interesting thing is that the reach of just some videos on TikTok just can go absolutely. Like my kid did a dance with I got 2 girls. They did a little dance. They got something like 250,000 views. They never had that before. Just that literally hit the algorithm and just went. And they were like, open. And they were like, what?
Yeah.
This is.
And it can like trickle for a minute, and then it can suddenly blow up. So, and it's the same with like, I think LinkedIn and TikTok in that way, they can be quite different to Meta. And you can see it with like B2B marketing on LinkedIn as well, that suddenly a few people and it snowballs, but it will continue to snowball. Whereas I think Meta doesn't continue for that kind of length.
No.
So Young's did the most amazing employee generated content, and they very much tap into that. Like how I was talking about hospitality fondly, and I could tell that you had those same experiences, they'll tap into that. So, and TikTok is, I think, it does a lot more of kind of the industry trends versus maybe like they do customer stuff as well, but that's the content that doesn't really go into the other channels, and like that still gets views now. It's had over 1 million like organically.
Talk to me about like repurposing, because I was talking to some other people the other day about it, and they were like, you can still use your old content, like you can repost old stuff. And I think people forget that they'll do all this really cool videos, and something that did 6 months ago, you can still repost those same videos without any challenges. And I think that's a worry, I think, for some brands. They always have to be new, but I think repurposing old content is so cool.
And also, everyone finds trends really scary, but that is a place where you can literally, so TikTok content itself is so much cheaper than other channels. For starters, the brands with the biggest budgets in the world, like McDonald's, are using UGC like style content on the iPhones and phone content. They are not filming like really slick stuff. So for starters, you should definitely only just be doing it on your phone. Secondly, you can create, I think everyone thinks every trend has to be freshly filmed, but you can just batch create content. So like if you do a new menu launch and when you're doing all that tasting, just take loads of cool content.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And you take loads of batch content, loads of short snippets.
Yeah.
And then when a trend comes up, you can just do that kind of point of view, like whatever the phrase is for your brand on that trend.
Yeah.
You can put over and you can just use that as background content.
So my friend I was talking about, he was like, we need little B-rolls. And I was like, I haven't got time. He goes, no, we'll just do as you walk in and those side shots. And I was like, oh, and my brain just exploded. And he was talking and he goes, that's why you need me.
Yeah. And it's stupid stuff like Ellie on our team's brilliant at, but like she'll do ridiculous zooms on your face when you're like, oh, and you'll probably do that on me now and I hate you. But it's like it's all those silly moments that you capture and actually use your team, like you were saying before, employee generated content is one of the biggest trends.
And you don't have to pay for them, do you? So they're there. You're already paying. They're your staff.
Also, it's a place for you to kind of incentivize your team and get them more engaged with the brand, because actually they're ones with better ideas. Like if you think you're the one with all the ideas, then you're not talking to your team enough.
I like that.
And like we go into a client and people are going, okay, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I need to talk to you first and find out about your business, because I can't tell you what to do until I know about your business. Like we are the experts in social, but you are the experts in your brand. And actually, once you start digging into all the little stories and
the storytelling piece is
and it's the stories that people don't even realise, and I love that.
There are so I wish more like what you said. I wish people would just whip out the camera and start with the journey, like My Little Italian, right? He bought it just before COVID. Yeah. Like he had his challenges, and I wish he would just go on it. And I'm actually might take my camera down there this weekend. And do it for him and have that and you can pin that on your TikTok, right, as the first journey. Actually I'm about to do something similar on ours, just to the generation of your journey and pin that, so when people hit your profile, rather than Instagram, you make it look nice and pretty with the squares, right? But TikTok, you pin that story to your profile or even to the feed. And I think that's a really clever idea, right? You can just, as soon as people hit it, that one piece there, oh, hold on, what's it about? And I saw content the other day. My Instagram and TikTok feed is just full of AI and freaking how it all works and everything else. And this guy was like, his profile had the first two was like, one was his story, where it came from, blah blah blah, and the second one was what they do and so on, which I thought was really clever.
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at who your customers are and identify that, and your audiences on each channel will be different. So, like social first content always, but also like platform content that's native to the platform you're working on. So, and with that, so like social SEO comes back in, like with TikTok, what are people searching for? Like, are you in a city where people are searching for things? Like, make sure that you put that into what you're putting together content wise, because then that will come up in search. Then go onto the trends and have some content that is just purely silly, and like when people in the business go, how's that relevant? Sometimes it means that you're on the right track. And I know that's quite controversial to say, but sometimes when it's a bit out there and you're being big and you're being bold and you're being a bit ridiculous, that's the content that will go viral. And, you know, there is times when virality is not what you want, because I know 58 & Co. is a really cool gym brand, Carmen, who founded it. She was saying that she went viral about something really random and it hit like, I think it was Greece or something, an audience that's completely not her audience. And now she's having to work to kind of undo that a bit.
Oh, yes.
So you do have to be
100%.
careful about where that virality goes. But if you plan it in terms of like speaking to the right people and you know your audience, then yeah, crack on. And it's
Yeah,
really great.
I remember seeing stuff like that. Literally, it like whole completely wrong audience.
Yeah.
And then it takes time to just get to the right audience.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
And it's also like, there's two things. So Spark ads. So basically for TikTok, that's the equivalent of boosting a post on Facebook. It's a lot cheaper and really super effective on TikTok. So I recommend people kind of invest in that, especially before.
So Spark ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also in terms of that content is like driving the tags. So literally like we did it for on Steam, which is like a coffee. And in the cappuccino, we wrote a letter and it's like, tag your friend with an S who owes you a coffee. And it's like, tag, 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 tag. The virality of that will go huge. And it's so simple. Like, I mean, any restaurant could literally be like squirt ketchup in a like A and then just like tag Adam. And we do that and we do that. Like it's ridiculous dog content. I mean, I heard Sherry talk about how important dogs are in the build strategy, and I know that the founder has the dog and all the digital stuff for kids. But like, lean into that because people love dogs.
Yeah.
Like we do Good Woof, which is Goodwood's dog event.
I love that.
Oh my god, the content is unreal. Like it's probably the account I wish I could work on more.
Yeah.
But like it's like tag the like sausage dog that you love and stuff, and like you'll get like the virality of it, and it's brilliant. So it's so simple. I think people overthink it.
Would you say that pushing ads on TikTok over Meta?
I'd say it's a fine balance.
Yeah.
But I think people aren't testing it.
No, I agree.
And at the moment, I think don't quote me on these numbers, but it's something like people are spending roughly 20% versus what was being spent on Meta with the social stats that we had. And do I think test it? 100%. Do I think put in really strong tracking? Yes, because I think you're going to have an even bigger challenge proving internal buy-in for TikTok ad spend than you are Meta ad spend because people, it's the unknown. So
do you think moving forward that's going to change? Do you think
100%.
it's going to be as in like the tracking's going to be easier? I mean, as in
it's there. It's obviously not as advanced, but like where we were with Instagram 10 years ago when everyone wasn't sure about what's on Instagram is exactly where we are with TikTok. So it's an absolute beast. And like the fact that Instagram and places are bringing out new platforms to challenge it, I think the only place I would be wary of is people going all in. And because I'm looking at US, and if you're a US brand, then you need to tread carefully, you need to diversify your channel. I think you can try and do too much, but it's also really risky putting all your eggs in one basket.
I agree.
So yeah, that's kind of
okay. So this is the next one, which was building an online presence. So this is basically asking like what key lessons you've learned about building a strong online presence and giving advice for restaurants and hotels to just strengthen everything.
Stop trying to sell.
I like that.
Like,
so is it stop trying to sell and tell your story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's translate what you're doing in venues and all of that work you're putting in. And like if you go to any AI event, they're like it's there to free up people, right? And that's essentially social's got to help share that experience that you're trying to make more time for. And you've got to tell the story of what's going on. Like we were at Planet Peach last week, Peach 2020 Sustainability Summit, And the amount of sustainability stories in hospitality brands is insane.
Yeah.
But no one's really talking about it.
I don't think anyone's talking about much. It's crazy. We had Gemma from Honest on ages ago. I had no idea about. I knew that I knew about the burger that they will do, right? The local burger. I had no idea about the local produce that the GM takes and speaks to, and all those little stories.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing more with it, which is amazing.
But honestly, the beauty of that is it's so layered.
Yeah.
So like the partnership piece there is huge.
Massive.
Like they are targeting local audiences. It's that local marketing, which is sweet spot of like tagging and collabing. Like collab posts on Instagram are brilliant because you hit new audiences really well. And like Instagram, I know we've talked a lot about TikTok, but Instagram at the moment you need to focus on, so you've got a connected and unconnected audience. So connected is people who already follow you, unconnected is where you can hit people on the algorithm, and so partnering with people will help you reach those. But it's creating content like you might send something to your mate down the road because you want to go and have a dinner with them at this new place that's launched. But how do you get to that person's feed to get them to send it on? And it's how do you make that content shareable, because shares is now one of the biggest metrics on Instagram. And expect in the next 12 months a lot more data from the platforms. I mean, they are so in control, right, of like what we do, and we're waiting for more data and metrics to come through on all kind of the DMs and what's going on behind the scenes, because dark social is like another area. Like you want people to stop screenshotting and sending it on WhatsApp. You want them to send it directly on.
I mean, the share button's changed now, right? It's at the bottom now. Yeah. So I literally, as you said last night, I sent something to my wife, I pressed the share button, sent it by WhatsApp to her. And that's just a super commonality of what everyone's doing. Yeah.
And I think when you go at what creates emotional content, we go back to that storytelling piece. The way I know where my kind of like personal emotions are at what I want to share is just go to like your best mate's DM feeds and see what you've been sending them. So like I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. There is a lot of toddler reels going because I'm kind of showcasing where I'm at emotionally. So if you can look at your customers and go, what are those behaviours they do? And so like for Harry Manson's, it was like, do you have curry sauce or ketchup or mushy peas?
Yeah.
And that was really controversial because it's those little behaviours. And if you talk to your team on the floor, they will know exactly those behaviours and they'll unpick them. Like we all know the divide between ops and marketing, and like, but actually, if you collaborate with them, you can find out so much about your customer behaviours.
The challenge you have that everyone talks about is having ops and marketing siloed. And I mean, to be fair, the last couple of people I spoke to, marketers wise, the other day, were like, the first thing we go in is we go speak to both.
Yeah.
There's no point just going to marketing team and go, we can help you with this, because then you have the barrier. And also for the Wi-Fi stuff we do, there's marketing and there's res. Yeah. So we're trying to help that, and they're sort of siloed sometimes as well, right? So we try to bring it together. But I think you're right. I think if you can in the business bring ops and marketing together, or maybe you guys sit as the bridge, because sometimes there's barriers, and then you need that middle person to just bring them both together, or just put them, handcuff them together.
And also we save time. So like the community management stuff, if something kicks off over the weekends and evenings, we just message ops. We don't bother going through the marketing teams because otherwise both sets have to be on. Ops are going to be on anyway because that's part of their job. That. So like with Youngs, we literally know all the area ops managers, and if something comes in, we know which pub, which area it is. We go to that kind of area manager, we'll CC in the relevant people, flag it. It'll either, if it's super urgent, they'll pick it up straight away. It might be, let them know, we'll get back to you Monday. Like there is different layers and levels for different situations.
I love that though, but I've not heard of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not detailed in what everyone else does, but I've not heard that before. I've heard people look after community, right, and then they'll report back to the client maybe, and then it'll be left. Yeah. But if if it's something important, like if you look at like the feedback platforms out there, and it will hit ops, and ops will will get it and they can deal with it, but social's instant, right? Yeah. So
and it's viral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. So if something happens and you're able to tee it off and they can react, then you can counteract, I guess.
I mean, I've sat on Christmas Day dealing with vegan campaigners going against groups, and the pub group actually really kindly gifted me a hotel stay, because I think when we say we do it every day of the year, they didn't quite believe it. And we literally just managed the situation. Like I could still, I happily sat there because Christmas Day was fine. And people go, how do you manage that as a team? And it's like there are ways around it. Like we manage it so that it's fair. It's not overbearing. Like everyone takes turns and everything. But it's genuinely one of the best things we do, and it's so important. And AI and bots can do a lot. but is it personalised?
No.
Do you get that surprise and delight factor? No. And we all know that really matters. And it's the same with like if you go to influencer marketing. If we don't work with ops, we can send in the best influencers, but if they have a terrible experience, then what's our work worth? Like, then we actually burn the brand because they'll post about the bad experience. So it's in our interest to work with ops and to create a great relationship.
It feels like it's not just a service that you're providing, but it feels like a safety barrier as well. Because if you're not monitoring that community outreach to then troubleshoot or mitigate, I guess is what is the word, that then you're not really looking after the client fully. It might just be someone who's looking at, because then you've got other people who will just post that content and off they go, and then they go home for the weekend, and then or an hour later, and some of the brands won't even see it, I guess, right? Because so you're never sleeping, and
no, it's really balanced. Like it's 9 to 9, and you know we've got work phones, so it's very like as a team. Like I monitor probably like twice, and like me and Natalie still monitor. It's not like something we're getting the rest of the team to do. Like we still very much monitor. But it's balanced with every social life.
Are there additional tools to help you monitor?
So we have like some beast of so we use I've gone completely blank on it. It's not Agora. I was about to say Agora because it used to be Agora. Brandwatch.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of Falcon. So they Brandwatch and Falcon. So we work with that. And it's a beast and it's expensive. So that's the other thing, benefit of working with an agency is we have access to software.
So does that monitors the, how does that work? It just sits on top of it, monitors
It monitors all the channels, but it means that we're all in one place. So we go into one app and we can look through all the clients. And obviously we have stories that we have, and stories is annoying because you have to post those live, but I mean we schedule and everything, so content isn't, other than the odd story, if it's really relevant at the weekend we'll post
so the independents aren't going to be using that because it's a beast of a piece of software, right? But as
we
an agency,
know some of the best, like this is State of Social was really interesting, and we did an advisory group and we changed it to 90 days because what we realized is some of the big groups don't have reporting software in place. They don't have this software, so they were like, well, we can't actually give you years of data because we don't have anywhere to pull it for. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're huge. And they're like, we don't have software in place. So when you talk to brands and you find that out, you're like, oh, okay. Like you make a lot of assumptions. And I think that's where you go, is the resource issue is huge. And it's probably they have the budget for it, but they've got no one to manage it. So what's the point in spending that money if you've got no one to manage it? So again, that comes into something that like really detailed audience reporting, looking at year-on-year performance, quarterly report.
Yeah, if it's not there, how do they even...
Yeah. But also, they probably haven't also needed it because they haven't got the time to look back as much. So actually, it's people aren't that thing what you're saying with COVID. Like people step back and look at stuff then, and I don't know whether that's been prioritised enough or it's not prioritised. It's just everyone's struggling and drowning a bit. Yeah,
100%. Wow. Okay, so my mind is blown. We've gone through a lot, to be honest with you. So I hope that we can take snippets of this and let people see it, because it's not hard. It's just take that jump, right?
Yeah.
And then give it to you to manage. So that's what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
So I think that's a challenge, really. I think you're right. There is a big resource issue out there, and I think some of them are just treading on like trying to get up out of the underwater, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't think that's to say anyone's fault. I really don't think that's
no.
It's
the never-ending list, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with social is like you're like, I've done a campaign and it's like I'm starting another week of content.
Yeah.
Like it's never ending. It's this thing you have to churn out constantly. And like you're done with Christmas one year. And I think you were talking to Sherry and she was saying about M&S, and it's like the fact that when they're looking at one Christmas campaign, they're already working on the next one.
I just like retail is like, it's crazy.
But do you know what I thought about that as well? So there's been quite a scandal this week with a well-known boy band member, and I'm thinking like those are the type of people that are in those ads. What do they do when they like shot it that far in advance that then there's a whole year of scandal that those celebs might have gotten themselves into hot water for? But like just a year worth of bonkers.
It is bonkers. I think I do wish some of them there were more retail tools into hospo.
Yeah.
And there are stuff coming and stuff like that. But I think it's always been like the club card, right? That loyalty piece, 30 years.
Do you follow Jellycat?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, their experience.
I was forced to go into a little shop.
Did you go?
Not that one. I went literally. My kid does dance and like things in like Finsbury Square. And she said to me, "When you pick me up, we have to go into the shop next door." And they had like 50 Jellycats in there.
But have you seen the like experience?
Oh, yeah.
Like the
fish and chips. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, like And I think it's those experiences where like, we have all the tools in hospitality to deliver experiences. It's not like we have to like
No.
even it doesn't cost hospitality as much.
I feel like I want to gift meta glasses to people.
Yeah.
And so they can just sort of like go behind the counter,
Yeah.
show, like, because a fallow do some of that, where
Yeah.
and they actually put a guy on the pass
Yeah.
with the glasses on. I'm like, that's brave. Obviously, they edit it, whatever, but you could hit everyone.
Fallow and like Fowl at their social is brilliant. And
That's amazing.
They are.
We worked with them, and the guy I was working with emailed me saying, "I've just been moved to YouTube full time."
That's cool.
I mean, some of the stuff they do is just they have it's not just a storytelling, but it feels hyper local. It feels like I'm just watching a mate of doing it. There's no barrier there, so they've really got it down to a T. But they've got a whole team.
Yeah,
you know.
We were literally talking to one of the founders last week, and Natalie was saying that they had like an entire team.
Oh, it's amazing.
That YouTube is such a huge platform for them, and it's not a platform we like have had clients that we found the right fit for. I think Goodwood use it a lot for like the motor circuit stuff, and like sport is obviously it's huge for. But I don't think hospitality, the brands that we've worked so far with, like there is definitely an opportunity for it. But I think that again goes to have you got the foundations there? But yeah, they are like top of class.
Yeah, I just think that everything that if I tell anyone and I said, well, just look at basic content, just look at that as an idea. But it's just I feel like I want to get meta glasses.
Yeah.
So if I go to HRC, I might get some for HRC and walk around and just sort of like, you know, and I'm like, you'll be recorded. But you know, because having a GoPro, I walk in a GoPro around.
People behave differently.
Yeah. So I'll get a little DJI clip and clip it on there. But I think I think it's super interesting on how it is. Okay, we have come to the end, so I'm going to give you a round of applause. So, final questions. Mm-hmm. Best restaurant.
Oh, it's quite tricky. I have just had a banging lunch at Lina stores. They are my new favourite at the moment.
Is it the OG or is it one of the newer ones?
So I've been to the Marylebone one, which is very chic and lovely. But actually, we just went to Greek Street. I went with Katie Jenkins from camp. We were celebrating State Social. So I did have a glass.
Which I will put in the notes for you, don't worry.
You.
Yeah.
But they, really lovely. And actually, we both were saying we way preferred that site. But I'd say probably my best ever restaurant experience was in a place called Bedspace in Unawatuna in Sri Lanka. And I think it goes to that entire customer experience is that it was just everything was right on the day. And I don't even think it's open anymore. But
you just hit everything hit.
Yeah. And like the service was great. And obviously you're in Sri Lanka and it's hot weather and your mood's right that day. Like it's amazing how much everything comes into play, like the weather can affect how great an experience is.
I was watching it, like the Rory Sutherland is all over TikTok, right? It's everywhere. And he was saying it's amazing how rosé tastes better by the sea.
Yeah.
How other things
That's why I live by the sea.
Yeah. There you go. I tell you, my wife is very happily have rosé sitting in the garden. Yeah. But it's interesting how different things with aspect fish and chips is better by the sea, right? And all those sort of things like
the seagull trying to savage you.
Yeah.
That is great content for TikTok, by the way.
Yeah, but I just think that it's really interesting the different things affected the weather, obviously, and where you were and the atmosphere and everything else. So best burger.
It's quite unoriginal because I live in Chichester and we're very limited, but Five Guys, like
nothing wrong with Five. So all the way.
So I go little cheeseburger. Because I think actually the big ones are too much. And then I have grilled mushrooms, grilled onions, jalapenos, relish, ketchup, mayo, and lettuce. But you know when you've nailed your order and I've not had a bad burger. I don't rate their fries though, controversially. But the milkshakes are unreal.
Yeah, they are unreal.
Yeah,
they are unreal. I said to someone the other day who said Five Guys. I was like, there's a secret menu. So if you go for the cheese, the cheese toasty, and you put a patty in there, it's actually cheaper than getting a burger. Oh. And you get it's basically an upside down bun.
Nice.
So when I did it last time, not for a while, but I went in and they looked at me and they went secret menu like that. So secret menu. So you can edit anything on the menu, right?
Yeah.
So you can go for the cheese patty, which is basically cheese and two bottom buns, I think. And then you can slide in anything you want all the way, whatever you want.
I think that's why I like it because it's literally like
you can choose what you want.
Pick and choose. And the peanuts I have memories with the peanuts.
Yes.
So like used to eat them.
I feel sorry for everyone walking past, like holding their breath as they're like.
Yeah, literally. Ridiculous.
Best hotel.
Walking up here, Charlotte Street, I used to work opposite Warren Street, was my office, and so Charlotte Street Hotel, like on a late night pre-events, we used to go there for a drink afterwards. People watching there was phenomenal, but I haven't stayed there.
I stayed there about 10 years ago, but I
Yeah.
have stayed there once. It is beautiful.
But people watching is
Yeah.
excellent. And what I like doing is people watching, and then once you got a bit tipsy, you'd actually chat to them and discover that your story was completely wrong. And actually had a woman who was like, I told you should have worn your wedding ring, because we'd convinced ourselves they were having an affair, and it turns out he just doesn't wear his wedding ring. And she was like, always like, people are going to think we're having affairs. And we were like, yeah, we thought you were having an affair.
Yeah, I do. So were you sitting in the front bit where the bar was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of watch people. And
the thing I love about all Firmdales is nearly all of them have a library.
Yeah.
Which you can just. So my office used to be opposite Charlotte Street Hotel.
Yeah.
And I couldn't come to my office for a meeting. It just wouldn't happen. Like it was nice, but it wasn't for me. So I'd meet people at the Charlotte Street Hotel and I'd just go sit in the library.
Yeah.
So that was my meeting room for about 6 years.
Gosh,
And
not
it
too
was,
shabby.
No, it was very nice. And I got a pencil on the way out, you know, and yeah, so all of them have libraries. So I love it. Even the Covent Garden Hotel, you can walk in, go upstairs, go sit in the library in front of the fireplace, do a bit of work if you want to. I love that.
I think I had, and this is my controversial, unpopular opinion, is I don't rate afternoon tea, and I actually like Charlotte Street Hotel's afternoon tea, and I had it in the library. And I think, so for a hotel that I actually enjoyed, the afternoon tea is quite rare for me, so it was good. But I think Beckford Arms in Wiltshire, I was going to say, again, it goes back to just full experience, and I went there for like a night, no, 2 nights we did, took the dog, and it's like, the rooms are like good, but they're not like groundbreaking, but they're really super comfortable. But the pub that it's attached to is just like sitting in your front room. The service was incredible. Like, they just knew when to surprise the lie, and that's a great spot if anyone's looking for a country getaway.
2 questions for the next guest.
Which brands or tech are they looking to outside of hospitality? And what's your unpopular opinion in hospitality?
I like that.
So mine's that afternoon tea. Don't rate it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm the same. Yeah.
Who are those questions going to, out of interest?
I'm not saying. I might tell you afterwards. So, but I'm going to give you another round of applause. Thank you very much, and give everyone a wave of goodbye.
Thank you so much for
before
having
they go, how do they find you? Where do they find you?
Kitch Social, KITCH social, .com on website and on socials. We're Kitch Social.
Amazing. Oh, I did an air horn as well. There we go. You got an air horn. Amazing.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.